Episode 18 of A Dose of Sinsanity is underway. I am GR3. I am joined by Welshie and Jamokin. Here we are. It feels like at this point, it's almost like a loading screen to get to that 100%. You know what I mean? We're finally going to figure out what does PSGS actually stand for.
We're on the way, dog. We're on the way.
We're 18%. You know, here we
Yeah.
are.
It always gets hung up on 99, though. You know that.
It does.
That 99, that hangs a long
We're
time.
we're gonna have like 15 episode 99 like just videos.
There's a lot of content. A lot of content in that episode.
The content. But exciting thing just happened in the Dota 2 world. We just got update 7.32. Big deal. I think it was like 8 months since the last big update. I mean,
it feels like Patchmas, man. It feels like Patchmas. I love it. I love Patchmas.
Oh man, I love it. You get to sit there for hours on end listening to Purge. And we're gonna do a bit of that. We're not gonna do the whole Purge deal where we're gonna sit here and go 7.5 hours up to 9 hours. We're gonna sit here, just talk about our favorite parts of the patch, and really just break it down just bit by bit of things that we felt are interesting or things that we've seen in our pubs, and go from there. And the first bit is just the general changes, right? Like there's a lot of big changes. Normally you see this as like minor little things, maybe rework to gold, things like that. But we got a new map, we've got new creeps added, a lot of new inner workings that are going to change the way that we play Dota. In the first bit, just line number one, Primal Beast is added to Captain's Mode. Once again, every hero in the game is now available for AD2L to absolutely go nuts on. What do you think?
I feel like everyone was scared of him at first, and I feel like he's been dumpster for a while. Like, I don't know about you guys. I haven't seen a Primal in a pub in a minute, and I feel like adding to Captain's Mode.
Dude, it's been so long. I saw it watching somebody else's game, and I forgot it was actually a hero.
Oh, yeah, same.
So
I feel like in my last 15 games, he's at least been in 3.
He has been picked a little bit more often. They did buff him, and we'll talk about that later on. But it's always nice to have every hero available because there's going to be some people within the league that are big Primal Beast players, and they're just drooling at their mouse and excited for him to be a part of it. Now, I'm excited to see not only what we do with it in AD2L, but how it reacts in the pro scene as we have the qualifiers coming up next week, question mark, or is it this weekend? So next weekend, I believe, and then see what it does at TI, right? It's an exciting hero that has a lot of jump potential, which always brings a lot of excitement. So I'm excited. But the other big thing, flag creeps. Jamokin, you had previously, when we were discussing before we started here, a lot of opinion on the flag creeps. Why don't you go ahead and talk to us about that?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a pretty big fan of the flag creeps. I think it lifts the skill ceiling for laning because suddenly you have, as like a carry perspective, you have these 2 objectives you have to secure, right? You have to get that last hit on that flag creep, and you have to get the last hit on the range creep. And they aren't necessarily in the same spot. So manipulating the wave in such a way and like creep managing in a way that you and or your support can make sure you get those 2 creeps, absolutely just like increases the amount of skill required to actually lane. I'm really excited about this patch just because of the more emphasis.
More emphasis on lane.
More emphasis on lane. Yeah.
What do you think's more important though now, like the flag creep or the range creep? I almost say flag because
Guaranteed.
It's beneficial for both, right?
Yeah, assuming your supports there. I mean,
if you're in my bracket,
I'm gonna say the flag creep. I'm gonna say the flag creep.
Yeah, if you're in my bracket, your support is always in your XP anyways. They don't fuck off. So like too often am I the same level as my support? It drives me apeshit. But it's nice to where the support actually gets some money now, and it feels like every single patch for the last like year and a half, 2 years has been geared towards getting supports more involved into the
Mhm.
game. And this is a major prediction of mine, just by watching the way that's going to be, or that like the patches keep moving. It's almost going to be like similar to a 5 core or 4 core one like support meta in like the next year or two.
I am going to say that they did kind of pump the brakes on all that. I felt like we were closer to that last patch because in this current patch, they decreased the GP, like you're just gold per minute you get from doing nothing by 15%. And so this creep was kind of injected to try and lift that back up for supports. So if they're playing well, they are getting rewarded.
Problem is that you have to rely, supports are relying on very unreliable carries to hit that last hit. Like, I don't know about you guys, but
mean,
I've had supports in my lanes watching me go to hit the flag creep, and then you can just feel their eyes on you, like, you better hit that. You better not cost me gold. You better not screw me here.
if
I don't
if you're
need other people's eyes. I have my eyes like alone just fucking thinking, don't fucking miss it. Don't fucking miss it.
I I mean, if you can't trust your carries to hit it, just pick a support that's going to secure, right? I've seen a lot of Rubik's, like constantly throwing Fade Bolt as soon as that creep falls low. So, I mean, there are certain supports you can pick that will help secure that creep. AA comes to mind.
The other thing, Fountain Invulnerability now applies a respawn regardless of whether there's an enemy hero nearby.
I love that change. Getting Fountain farmed is like, it doesn't necessarily tilt me, but it feels like such a waste of time. I wish they just simply couldn't do that and they just go win the game.
I'll 100%
You know
say
what
that
it
fountain
fucking
farming tilts
does?
me. 100% it tilts me. People do it. It is the most disrespect you can be in this game. It's just to be that kind of person, honestly.
Shows me who the fuck is AFK in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that, I noticed that so much more now. It's like, okay, is this guy like thinking items, waiting for a TP to respawn? I'm looking, is like he has not fucking moved. And he's got the magical little thing. Like normally if you're waiting for a TP respawn, you're gonna click and you're gonna move a little bit. Like Jesus, like you just know they're AFK. It feels bad. But yeah,
Um,
I do like the fact that no matter the point in the game, you can't get like fountain farmed.
mhm. It is quite nice. Small camps being removed from mid lane.
Oh my god.
They brought skill back
Yeah,
to
that
mid.
The single hardest thing for me to get used to so far, actually. And I'm not even a mid laner, but just like the amount of times that I'll like TP mid and then I'll like work my way back to the off lane and just like, okay, I'm gonna hit this fucking small camp real quick. And it's just fuck, it's not there. You know what I mean? Just wasted steps.
Oh, for sure. I constantly forget to. It's not there, so I'll run my farming pattern, and I'll have like that 8 seconds, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'll just run to the small camp," and there's no small camp, and then I'm literally just standing there like kicking dirt. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I have to wait and then like farm my way back to wherever I was, but it's super awkward, dude. It's really sad. Sven's just standing
It's
there
like you said
crying.
though, Jamma. We're going back to the old days where it's a true show of skill in the mid lane. Of like, it's no longer this. Oh, you're picking something that actually like wins lane. Well, I'm just not going to even try in lane. I'm just going to put tiny mid and then just hit small camp in this. Like, I look forward to these shows of skill that will come from mid laners now instead of just doing this like kind of garbage routine. Do you know what I mean? Of like, I can play an off laner from the mid lane and just farm, and I hate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. They brought laning back to mid. Like you could be a mid player and like you kind of didn't have to lane. You could just pick Coddle. You're not laning. You hit like level 3, you just blast the wave and run into the jungle and go blast all the jungle creeps. So I'm
The
definitely with
question
you.
that I have, does this make mids want to rotate more? Or do they want like to just kind of sit there longer? Does that make sense? Like, does it encourage more rotations? Because to me, there's the sense of, well, in that downtime, I can shove the creeps and then rotate and then come back. Um, or is it something where, well, I need to be playing the lane more, working with equilibrium and things like that, and I don't have as much time in order to rotate or other things because I'm not just shoving the wave straight out like I used to.
I think the ganks will come later, just because the XP changes. They made every level require more XP. I don't know if we mentioned that, but I think you're gonna want to sit there and dominate the lane more if you can, and maybe the guy losing will try and make plays elsewhere to try and see if he can get something to happen. But you're hitting 6 later, which means there's a chance you might not gank right at the 6-minute ruin, and you're largely waiting for these power runes to go gank. I think.
Oh, for
And then
sure.
you have the flagbearer creeps coming into
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
it's an extra creep every 2 waves. Post what?
Post 2 minutes, yeah. So that's
Yeah, but it's an extra creep, so there's more.
I don't think it's an extra creep.
is it a substitution of a creep?
Starting at 2 minutes, one of the melee creeps in every second creep wave is
Oh,
replaced.
yeah,
by
Even
the
still,
melee.
you're getting extra creeps worth of value out of it. And building on what you said, I feel like the mid lane now has this position where it's no longer, oh, I'm losing mid lane. I'll just hit the small camp and push it whenever it hits my camp. I feel like now it's going to become two things out of this is if you're losing lane, like you said, I feel like your only option is that you have to go help the other lanes to make sure that they're having a good time or that they're succeeding in some form because your lane is just junked. And, or
Yep.
it's going to push a real need to have supports now that are able to come to the mid lane to help in a situation. Like you're going to see more Maranas or things of that nature, I think.
I think this makes mid so much more exciting. Like I
I
felt
think it
like when I
makes
was
it so
watching
much harder.
casts, I think when we were watching casts, they just like skip over mid because they're like, "What's happening?" Like people are just clearing the wave. Like nothing's happening. Supports aren't really showing up. So like if that is the case, we do see like roamers coming more to mid to try and find these kills. I think that's going to be so much more exciting.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think so
mid
too.
is so much more fun to watch.
It's going to be more challenging too because now like playing mid from behind is so much more challenging. Because let's say like you're not like let's say you're playing fucking Invo. Like Invo doesn't want to fucking move and go gank side lanes typically, right? Like he's just so happy of just sitting there and sun striking when the opportunity arrives.
Yeah.
So like if Invo's getting fucking dicked, then it's kind of a weird situation of, well, what the fuck do I do? Do I just abandon? Like, I guess I have to shove, but the camps are so far apart from the mid lane now that there's not much of an option. I think it feels bad, like, feels so much worse if you're going to, or if you're losing the laner in a bad matchup, which
I
is
think
challenging. It's exciting because you're going to see different things, different ways to lane. And I think these kind of deals are where you're going to see new mechanics being brought out, especially in the pro scene that are going to change the way like a lot of like mid laners lane. And I think it's exciting.
I think Invoker's an interesting example you bring up because this new like getting rid of the small camps like buffed Invoker because like he couldn't clear it till what level 8 when he gets like double um forge spirits
Oh, for
anyways.
sure.
So like this more lane focused kind of thing and like more team fighting heroes, I think like Invoker indirectly gets kind of buffed from this. But if he does lose his lane, it's really interesting. Like how are they going to recover? Are you going to try and bring resources to a losing lane, or are you going to try and take him and put him somewhere else to try and win a lane?
What I saw in one of my pubs was an offlaner was having a decent lane, and it was a necro, and they just literally just flopped lanes, and they said, "Hey, you go fucking mid. I'm coming back. Like at least you can stand and contest, and you're not gonna die." And there's something I can get out of the lane. So maybe it's gonna like we had a patch not too long ago where like your 6 would get mid and then rotate and swap with somebody who just wasn't going to die mid. Usually it was an offlaner, sometimes was the one. So maybe we're going to see a little bit more of that where like your mid gets 6, leaves, and then allows whoever's having a rough lane to go into the mid lane. And so, because you do have the protection of tower, right? And if you have a way of like nuking down the wave or still contesting in some form, then I think it'll be more beneficial than just having your mid laner get sacked and then, you know what I mean? You get your 6, you get your like or whatever spike, and you just swap.
It's like you're saying there, right? It's just the
Yeah.
idea that if you have to sack the lane, and obviously you're not getting anything out of it. If you're getting no gold out of the lane, then put somebody in the lane who doesn't necessarily need gold but loves levels, which is off laner 4 or 5. Go to a lane where you're going to do something. Don't stay here, because Lord knows if you're somebody who needs like 2 items to be successful or to do anything, it's more important that you get that than even your 3, right? Order of farm priority. It's just the way it goes.
Here's I don't know, outside thought. Okay. There's a fun event that's concluding today, the MTL event we talked about last week, where the whole point of that was dual mid. Uh, Potentially meta if you're getting dicked
Bro,
in the lane. You know what I mean?
MTL predicting?
Was MTL above the fuck, like, just ahead of their time? In
I
all
mean,
honesty, though, right?
there
Like,
were 2 Kinos, so I could definitely see it.
if you're getting dicked in the lane and the creeps are that much more important, and you just bring a fucking support there, and you just dual lane the fucking mid post like 4 minutes. Is that an option? Is that a thing? You know what I mean? We used to see the IO like tiny. Actually, the IO would fucking lane mid. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I don't know. A lot of things.
there's it'll be really interesting to see the community figure this patch out,
The
and also
Very
like
exciting.
other thing that doesn't, I think, first look doesn't mean a lot, but it's something that I keep noticing prior to start of games. There's a big ass, like, best way to describe it is like a fucking peninsula that literally jolts out um from like towards the
the
dire
dire
Oh
top
yeah.
jungle.
yes, and it's like a fucking tunnel of death, and it's
Bro, ain't nobody walking up that staircase. My
brother,
God.
I keep seeing people do it, and it's like, why would you ever do, like, if you're gonna ever contest that rune, you have to make the big sweep like around, like, people walking straight up that shit, like, you just want to die. And I feel like that makes Dire so much better now in a patch that Dire was good, in the sense of that's also helps with your with Roche control, right? Like,
No.
you're no, you don't think so?
No, because you end up walking on the low ground before you can get to the pit. Before it was like you touch the bottom of the stairs and you could just like blink into the pit
Yeah, that's
and
true, I guess.
fuck shit up. Where now
My
like they can have a ward outside the pit and then you're like you have to go through the peninsula.
yeah.
It's just you're not going onto a high ground, you're just going like you're staying on the same level.
I
as
guess the
Mm.
way
everyone
that
else.
I was thinking of it was like you want to have supports break smokes and shit like around that area.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's so much harder and like more unsafe for that to occur. But then I guess like if you're okay with a support dying, breaking that smoke in that little fucking like death alley, basically, like I guess it's okay because it is farther. Your ward's gonna be up closer, um, and they are gonna have to walk directly through that. But yeah, that's true. You
But
almost have to contest
to
roast. You
go
have to smoke.
from pit up there though, that point again, they can't do that's not a valid option, right?
Right. Right.
So
Uh,
it kind of works both ways, but I think contesting the pit it's worse.
the last bit about the general changes that I want to bring up is glyph is refreshed whenever the first tower of each tier falls.
I think it was needed. I think it
So
was needed.
is that
I think
better than the anytime a tier one falls? It's the same amount of like refresh glyphs, but I think it makes going high ground significantly harder because what I keep seeing is like um it slows down your high ground push so fucking much. Because a tier three will get like you'll glyph, a tier three will get fucking dropped, and then you get to glyph again, so you can't take racks.
I
Essentially,
think this speeds the game up.
why is that?
Well, think about you take a tier one, it refreshes their fort, right? You take the off like the enemy safe lane tier one, right? But now you can just go mid. They don't have a fort. Like you can take
Sure.
that mid tower, you can take that off lane. Like it allows you to just take the rest of like the
Well, they
tier
didn't have a
ones or the
fort
tier
anyways.
twos.
I think it stops these one fight disaster scenarios that can occur. I think that, they're pushing a tier 2, the first tier 2 of the game, and you drop the whole team. And they spent all their ultimates as well trying to stop you. You have a free walk right now to take not only the tier 2, but a lane of racks. I think it makes people actually do the game, I think, the way that they kind of intend it to be, which is that you want to take all the tier 1s, then all the tier 2s, then all the tier 3s. You don't want to just death push a lane, and they're trying to force
Yeah.
people to do that.
I don't think you get the high ground faster, but I think you can close the map a lot.
I think it
quicker.
forces you to close the map quicker. I think it actually points people in the direction naturally of do not just bum rush a lane. Go take each individual like set of towers and close in on them than just bum rushing a lane, which I think is a problem. I think it honestly was. I think there were a lot of heroes in this game right now who are really up in the meta who took towers really fast.
Well,
Like
how
it
many
below.
times would you win a game that you're getting absolutely dicked? They have no buyback, and then you take T2, T3, Tier 4's Ancient.
And win.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that happened often. And I don't think it speeds the game up. I agree that it might speed the game up a little bit of like closing in the map. I think that overall, though, it slows the game down.
It stops you from these bum
Yeah.
rush ends.
Everything that I'm seeing in this patch so far is slowing the game down.
Yeah, it stops these bum rush giga snowball effects.
Like longer between your levels. Passive gold is decreased. Like the more emphasis on like the flag creeps in a way where like you want multiple people in the area. You're minus the mid small camp, like it's less farm, so you gotta like A lane, B like it's less farm you're getting out of the mid lane. It just and then the tower stuff, it just feels like it's all slowing the game down. And then the last bit of it, I guess, would be like the ancient armor was increased from 13 to 23. So that like itself, it makes it a little bit harder to go and take the ancient on those bum rushes. Oh, and the last bit, I almost forgot. The ancient's backdoor protection HP regen is much higher. And then like I forget exactly what it was, but the backdoor is like double.
Yeah, the backdoor regen is doubled, which is really significant.
So it's so much harder to backdoor towers now.
So
because before you have like a Deso Clinks and it's just like, or like you could just heavy push down a tower.
Which is again, like, I mean, it's not something that they want you to have to like consider and I think worry about, is the idea that you have all of your lanes pushed out, everything is good for you. Somebody snuck a bird or a creep in there with like a dominator, and then you lose the game because of that. Like
there's IO clinks or IO tiny, and they just reel in your
base. Like
and it's all
like gone. No more of that. Which I 100% respect. That to win the game like that is not the way Dota is meant to be played in an ideal scenario. I think that being a realistic option of winning is not something that they wanted. They don't want people doing, I mean, well, Underlord, right? Like Underlord is a reason for this in a lot of ways. Like you don't just get to bring your tiny Lifestealer, Leshrac, and everybody to their base if they step out for more than 5 seconds. So like that's to stop those kind of strategies now that people like Underlord exist. Oh, dude, the Underlord skeleton strat? Like, that's a direct nerf to that?
First off, speaking of Underlord, my absolute favorite one of my favorite patches was our freaking Bara Pitlord strat.
Beep, beep. Oh, that was so fun.
It's so off topic of what we're talking about, but golly.
Very off topic.
I do just love that.
The gate's nice though. The gate makes him much more viable. I love the gate.
It's good. But let's move into item changes.
Oh, for sure.
Midas?
That was 100%. I think it's going to mean that like is it really that big of a deal? Is it really?
It is. Okay. It is. I hit a 7-minute Midas on Doom, walked over Doom or Midas the creep, and just like boom, instant item.
It's pretty good because there's so many carries right now that are building Midas. And I'll tell you, one of the guys on my team, he was playing Ogre. And he goes, "Gosh, I just rush Midas so I make sure that we get all the items instantly." Like, I don't know, man. Like maybe, like Is that something where it's cool? Like you Midas and then it multicasts, and then all of a sudden like a camp drops like 3 or 4 fucking neutral items instantly, and then you already fucking have them, right?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Is that a hard power
well,
spike? Like that could potentially
it
be.
is. I mean, it's what is it? It's interesting you bring up the ogre in particular because I feel like he's gone in a certain direction. But you're exactly like I said. So the people who get like multiple use out of Midas, like it validates ogre Midas more, and it validates more than that Arc Warden more, right? Especially because Arc Warden is here that comes on late game. So you're telling me that at the 60-minute mark, you are guaranteed pulling 2 right at that 0-minute mark. Sorry, right at that 60-minute
I
mark.
think it's also really big around like that 35-minute mark, basically when like people kind of just stop hitting neutral creeps and you're just like running around constantly responding to fights. And so like I was in a game, we were just constantly fighting. And then I look and we still need like 2 more like tier
All your
3
tier
items
twos
and
and a
2, yeah,
bunch of tier
like we're
threes.
missing like 8 items.
You're so far ahead of the game, but you forget the fact that like you just haven't hit fucking neutral creeps and eternity.
Yeah. Exactly. So just casually walking up in my I think it's good. I think it makes the item even stronger.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's something I think so minor in a lot of instances, but for those few games where it actually does matter, I think it's kind of cool. Um, the other item that really spoke to me was BKB. Now, I started to tell this story before we started this. I was playing a game earlier today, and I was playing Axe, and it's just one of those things. And well, you're a big Axe player too, so you
Yeah.
understand. You're sitting there and responding a lot of times, especially later in the game. You're responding to one of your heroes getting jumped. You counter initiate. So I played that in that way. My BKB I think was 3 seconds from going off. My Clinks got jumped. I counter initiated onto the PL. Um, and then unfortunate like he has a defusal. Well, by the time my BKB came off cooldown, I was out of mana and I actually couldn't use my BKB, and it actually got me massacred.
So you go ahead.
With that, it's 50 for if I didn't state before. The BKB now has a 50 gold, or I'm sorry, 50 mana cost.
Whoa, that'd be cool.
The
Yeah,
Black King.
you want
Yeah.
to
Using
use this
BKB costs
bitch?
you 50
See
gold?
you.
I'd pay 50 gold for that. That'd be cool. But so I had some interesting thoughts on this. So obviously this is a slight buff to every one of them, maybe more slight than I'm thinking, maybe like more significant than I'm thinking, to all the mana burn heroes, right? Like AM, PL, things of that nature, because it forces you to have to use BKB before you're at 0 mana. Now, the one hero that I think is super buffed by this, in my opinion, is honestly Quaswex Invoker. I think Quaswex Invoker is going to see a massive uptick because of the significance of this. And I think Quaswex Invoker becomes a lot scarier later in the game for the sheer fact of forcing BKB usages with the MP.
I just see all my sports to build arcane boots.
That is the second point that I was interested in, and I was just about to transition to, is that we've seen a massive, like, nobody has arcane boots anymore in the late game. All supports, yeah, no, you're right. All supports transition to Aetherlands. All of them do. Every single one of them.
Well, or just not at all. Like mana boots in general just feel fucking.
This may be a reason that you have to have them now. Like, you have to have a support who has them if you're playing against some kind of mana burn hero.
Or just pre-pop it. I don't know. Like you have to like hit them earlier or something. Like you just have to. You have to have the idea that you have to save your 50 mana. There's so few instances. Like what I hit was such a like. It was the only time in the game, and the only time in like the 20 games I think I've played on this patch so far, that was even an issue, or that I've seen has been an issue.
So
I don't know.
The main reason for the BKB though, mana cost, is because of refresher.
Right, sure.
I think that was the main reason. They increased the mana cost for refresher, and they gave BKB a mana cost. So now to do the whole combo, it's like 450 mana instead of 300 mana, plus whatever skill you're refreshing.
Right. Yeah, it hurts
Like
Razor.
it hurts Razor, hurts Tidehunter, hurts Mars. There's a
Mag.
lot of these heroes where just that increase of 150 mana just makes pulling that combo off so much harder before we even
Yeah.
factor in
Which
spell
we'll
cost.
get to Razor, but I feel like Razor didn't need any more beating up than what they did to him. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
The duration of the duration of
next-
Blade Mail getting increased is ridiculous. Like that's
it's fucking
It's a-
awesome. It feels like
the
it's always
20%.
like, once
Oh my
again,
god.
just playing Axe, dude. Like just having that up for 5 point, like an extra second.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Well, now
God.
also think about
It
this as
feels
well.
so
What's the
good.
duration of Duel? Is it? It's less than 4 seconds, isn't it? Is it 5?
I don't know.
Hey, hold up. Blade Mail? Hate this item. Hate this item.
Why?
Well, yeah.
I played Luna.
Yes,
I played
yes,
Luna.
You did.
I played Luna against the Spectre, Legion Commander, Necrophos. All Blade Mails. All Blade Mails, dude. I get Blink dueled, Spectre would haunt, they push Blade Mail, and I just kill myself.
Yes.
It was
Blade
ridiculous,
Mail.
dude.
5.5 seconds for Duel next.
Okay, so there you go. Now you have a full duration Blade Mail for the entire time you're getting dueled. That is going to be significant to Legion, like really significant.
We have seen some Legion like increases in winter
Yeah.
as well.
Well, yeah, I think the talent changes.
Oh yeah, like don't get me wrong, it's going to be significant for Axe for obvious reasons, but I feel like that it's more significant for Legion players, and I think they're going to be real happy with that.
I want to touch on Dragonlance for a minute.
Can we? I want to before we do that. I want to just briefly go on Bloodstone. Let's work our way down this list. Like Bloodstone, an active spell lifesteal multiplier increase by 0.5, and the cost was decreased 200 gold. I think that's actually pretty significant for the item.
I think I think that item has become so dependent on the hero, though.
Well, it always is going to be, but if you're playing like a Leshrac, like I feel like Leshrac's
for sure.
it. Like in even Skywrath, like in a sense where I believe Skywrath could be a core now. It's the same way. Where I think it's just an item that is like they're just gonna love.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Could you build it on Undying?
Don't you put the ideas in the Undying people's heads. They don't need any more.
First off, I want to say so much about that hero, but we're gonna wait. Yeah. Oh man, do I want to say shit about that hero? Dragonlance, fuck. Man,
all right, so this is a big change. Specifically targeting like disassembling the Dragonlance into BKB since it's now a Blade of Alacrity instead of the Ogre Axe, and so that's just you'll know the core heroes that it affects: your TAs, your gyros. A sniper could do it as well.
So correct me if I'm wrong as well, though, but anything that requires a recipe is unable to be disassembled, correct? So D-Lance should not be able to be disassembled anymore by that same standard.
Yeah, it can't be
disassembled anymore as well. Because I was thinking about that. I'm like, okay, does that mean you can build Blade of Alacrity into Yasha if you need to? Is that a thing? It would be a weird thing, but it's a thing. But you can't.
It has oddly high strength, though, considering it only takes a belt of strength.
Belt of strength, yeah, I know. That I was a little bit confused on that they didn't decrease the strength at all.
They reduced the agi.
They reduced the agi by giving a better, like giving
more agi.
I will pay. I will pay the 1 agi to have the extra 10 attack range, though. I don't know.
Oh no, you actually lose. No, you lose agi. You lose agi. No, it's minus 2 agi. It's minus 2 agi.
Oh, is it 2?
Because it was 2 bands.
Yeah. The thing that gets me is this is the most valued belt of strength that you.
Oh, for sure.
Oh god, dude.
You know,
like in all honesty, it is the single most valued belt of strength.
That doesn't change anything for Meepo, does it in any way? Because Meepos were. I mean, we all know Meepos were building D-Lances, like 6 of the damn things.
Well, I think it hurts them a little bit, if anything else. Like, it doesn't do anything towards their strength. It just decreases the agi. And I don't think it matters all that much of 1 agi. Like, they're building 3 Dragonlances. They lose 3 agi.
You're right.
Like, I don't think they care that much. It's just, I think the buildup is more exciting for like Jamokin was saying, like the snipers, the TAs, like things like that. Um, but yeah, outside of that, it's
I gotcha.
I
I
think
don't know.
just not being able to disassemble that into BKB is
Yeah,
like
that's the thing that hurts the
considerable.
most. Yeah.
Very considerable.
Um, Yule Scepter, also the same deal along the lines of Wind Waker, purges before and not after. Jamokin, you were saying you were reading in a Reddit post, somebody was explaining why this is decent.
Yeah, it had to do with like HP removal ticks and things along that nature where they would like stay on you during the cyclone and just weird interactions. It just cleaned it up so you're not gonna experience those weird why the hell did I die to this dumb shit when
Um,
When I was
things
in the
like that
middle
come up.
of being put in the cyclone, I should not have been able to die there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
get
know.
that. I mean, it just looks messy, right?
Falcon Blade, they're trying to make
Somebody
something with
buy the
10
item.
punches, but
The
it's still
shopkeep
worthless. Like
yes.
it's like over 1,000 gold item that doesn't build into shit. Like the mana regen, why not buy a fucking Bassi? Like the damage, like your health, why not buy a Dragonlance? You know what I mean? Like
Shopkeeper just wants you to buy the damn item.
it's the most debated item in all of fucking
I don't know the stats of this, but I
the
feel like is it possibly the new Meepo spam item? Do Meepos now build 6 Falcon
No,
Blades?
No,
no,
Okay,
no,
no.
no.
They build stats.
fair.
Yes, and damage and health isn't stats. Yeah, no. The Morbid Mask, building into the Mask of Madness, the
Life steal.
Satanic, the Vlads, the Wraith Pact. That has a very interesting change to it, where life steal is increased 3%. I'm reading Morbid Mask, 3% on heroes, and it does go up when you build it up in other things. Um, but now it affects creeps by half its value.
And that goes
So
for all life steal items.
yes,
I don't think it affects spells like vampiric spirit or whatever. Um, this is a quite considerable change in my opinion, um, especially when it comes to Svens or heroes that would like often get their morbid mask and like just go into the jungle and just say I'm not laning anymore if the lane isn't good.
right.
Um,
Luna's Faceless
Luna
Voids.
isn't as bad just because you are ranged, so you just kind of like right click, step back, right click, step back. Like the
Right.
DPS you take is a lot lower, but it does affect her. Don't
Hmm.
get me wrong, and it affects popping like satanic on a creep wave and healing all the way.
Right.
So like even in fights and
The
stuff
the
when
thing that
you
I'm
know
thinking is like the biggest effect to Luna will be when taking large ancient
Giga
stacks.
stacks of ancients, right?
yes,
Yeah.
no, that definitely affects you. But
That hurts.
again, it also affects Sven and all that. So I'm thinking, um, like Svensson might just get armlets,
But
get
overall, like
that
it makes
iron
Vlad's and Wraith Pack that much better. Like
for
the
fighting.
changes.
Absolutely,
Yes, like
absolutely.
Vlad's to me is like you have to fucking have one. Like I don't even give a shit if you build it into Wraith Pact anymore. Vlad's just feels like it. The life steal for Vlad's was increased 15% to 20% on heroes. That's fucking
It is.
huge.
Yeah,
Like that is a
and then
Also,
massive
really quickly
improvement.
before
it's
I
a ball
forget,
up
shout out to
item.
Valve for making Shadow Amulet a 15-second duration instead of infinite now. Just shout out for all the fucking griefers in
Nah,
my games. Just shout out.
Honestly,
you don't
Yeah,
need it
we can
anymore, man. You just fucking sit in
exactly. All right,
Falcon.
we can move past that now.
again, Vlad's super good. It's a ball up item. It's kind of a team fight patch we're predicting. Mechanism, 100 gold cheaper. Cooldowns decreased by 15 seconds. That's a
Yeah,
ball up item. Pipe got a magic resist buff. So
Pipe
there's a
needed
lot
a
of like
buff, man.
fun.
That was
Absolutely, nobody wanted to buy it.
here's the thing that I'm most disappointed in. Okay, where the fuck is the Crimson Guard buff?
Yeah, that item needs to be played more. I
Like
love that
honestly,
item,
that item is so fucking dead.
but it could be so
Why
good.
why was that not buffed?
I don't know.
Usually in these big patches, you take the shit that is completely dead, that no one wants to buy, Like pipe, you never fucking see pipe anymore, and they addressed that. Like no one fucking sees Falcon Blade. Like that's fucking Valve's favorite
Yep,
little
I haven't
project.
seen Crimson Guard in I don't know how long.
Where's Crimson? The only thing I can think of is the freaking like Valve employees forgot that was in the game as well.
Lord knows I did. This is something that I think really significant to the patch, and I'd love to talk about this. These all three go together. It's Refresher Orb, Refresher Shard, and Ex Machina all got a massive change. Refresher Orb less so, but they increased the mana cost of Refresher Orb from 300 to 350, and they also increased the cooldown by 10 seconds. So from
Refresher Shard having a mana cost is one of the most.
Yeah, let me say that. So Refresher Shard has a 200 mana cost now, which you're exactly right when you say that. It was too much of a gimme. Too much.
Like good lord. Yeah. Like you refresh for free, that's the most ridiculous shit. Like I understand like they wanted Roshan to be this big objective, which is always
still is.
Like,
yeah.
Fuck everything else, like ages is everything.
And
you want to give a Refresher Shard that has 0 fucking mana cost?
And then Fight Me Ex Machina was the most broken neutral item in the late game you could possibly have, because it made every single one of your items a 30-second cooldown. BKB, Shadow Blades, everything was on such a low cooldown. The BKB even more significant because that means your cooldown for it is cut in half, right? And you're just constantly hitting.
Yeah, and the mana cost is now like 400 basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like 450 essentially. Like you're gonna have to expend 400.
This is a punch in the gut to Razor players. This is a punch in the gut to, like, we talked about this, and like you said, it was Mars's, Doom's, Magnus.
Like Doom will literally have like fucking like late in the game might have like 1,000 fucking mana, depending on their items. Like now, like in order to just use BKB twice is 400. Like it's almost half of it.
Yeah, I played Doom, and like I was like, oh, I have to actually pick up a Shiva's if I want to like
do anything.
That mana.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is nice. I can feed my brains out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. This is a massive nerf to Bruags. Oh wait. We'll get there. We'll get there though.
Neutral items.
Yes, neutral items. Seeds of Serenity, one of the new items.
Dog shit item.
Yes.
I hate it.
So
I hate it.
On paper, it looks pretty good. You target the ground, and it provides 8 health regen to allied units while they're in that area of effect. It lasts 14 seconds, and then the cooldown is 40 seconds. So, like, on paper, it looks like you're healing over 1,000. I'm not gonna do the full deal, but like I think like 1,020 or something like that. But are you gonna sit in the same spot in a 350 radius, which is a fairly small radius, for 14 seconds to try to heal you? Like, you brought up the point beforehand, Jamokin, where it's really good in the sense of pushing objectives early, but outside of that, it's kind of a dog shit item.
Clarification: it's 112 health.
112.
Not
just kidding.
When I heard that, I was like, "Bro, hold up! Did I misread this item? Is this thing busted?"
I read it.
I'm gonna go Roche at 8 minutes.
And you said yourself, like, for 100 health, you're gonna sit still 14 seconds. You're not. I mean,
yeah, like when
maybe you're hanging out. The only thing that I can think is maybe you're hanging out like in at the back of your tower. You're taking aggro, and you're just gonna sit there and let the creeps hit you or something like that.
The only thing I can maybe think is like if you're jungling.
Ancient stacks.
It might, jungling ancient stacks. It might be helpful,
maybe.
But like even then, it's not that much. Like if you're doing a stack, that health is gonna fucking drop you.
Yeah, I think the biggest significance of it is, like you said, it's the healing portion for when you're pushing a tower, and even then, it's barely that much of a drop in the bucket.
It's just
you drop it on the creep wave, and you just let them like hit it, and you have a little bit more health. Like maybe they survive one extra hit, maybe. But yeah, ultimately not that worth it. Lance Pursuit.
But
let me touch on this real quickly. There's a couple of neutral items that have come out that I'm like, there are neutral items that are like made for certain heroes. Chip Vest Rip was made for Axe and like Legion. Chain of Quiver was made for Enchantress.
Made for every single carry hero ever. was Chip
anyone
Vest.
that didn't have a farming ability, Spectre,
Oh,
holy
yeah.
shit. You hit a 7-minute
Chip vest. Yeah,
fucking
no.
chipped vest.
Yeah,
You won the
yeah.
game. You won the game.
Enchanted Quiver
Right.
was made for was honestly made for Enchantress in my mind. Okay, I'm not gonna get into this which ones you guys think, but this is made for Ricky and it's not even funny.
Dark Willow. Dude, this is for Ursa.
You think?
Man.
Specialist array.
Because you can't for Ricky, you just turn and fight the Ricky, right? Like
The
you just,
The Lance of Pursuit we're talking about. You're good. Lance of Pursuit is made for Ricky.
outside of Smoke Cloud, like you just kind of like face Ricky and fight him. But like
Huskar?
Ursa, you don't fight Ursa. You run away from Ursa.
Right.
So
And it slows.
Yeah. So when he's just slowing you and smacking you in the back,
12% slow. That's gonna be significant.
Huskar as well. Huskar as well. Same deal.
Ursa also has a 40% slow.
Yeah.
And phase boost. So Ursa's just running.
Yeah, if an Ursa gets that in the early game and he has like an Orb Corrosion, any melee carry that is like an Orb Corrosion carrier,
he just needs phase boots.
It's gonna be terrifying. I think it's gonna be a terrifying item to see in the game.
Ocular Bracelet, another new one. What was it? 5 all stats. Each time the wearer is attacked, they gain a stack of 0.5 mana regen up to 5 stacks. Stacks last for 10 seconds. I think
Does that include creep attacks?
Bristleback probably would like that. Timbersaw would like that. I don't know. Like it feels like an okay. I think you pick that up because of 5 all stats, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's not something you obviously these are items that are random, right? But there are heroes that I think it would be significant on, like you said, it's Timbersaw, Bristleback is like the most significant that I see in this item. Yeah. I think Mars might like it a lot.
Mars might. But Chip Vest removed, Keen Optic removed, Ocean Heart removed. We talked about Chip Vest, how strong that was.
Keen Optic, pour one out for Chip Vest, my god.
You would see supports fucking carry Keen Optic for the
man.
Until like that item was really
for sure.
Ocean Heart, I feel like it was used for the stats and no one gave a shit after that. Eye of the Vizier. This one I don't like. 125 cast range, minus 20% max mana. The ones that want the cast range also need the fucking mana. 20%'s a fucking lot. Like, what the fuck? Like, maybe CM can deal.
CM can deal, and CM's already in a great place now. I mean, I feel like...
But, like, fuck it. Jeez, like, looks good until minus 20% max mana.
Bro, I want to see the across the map shackles. I'm excited for Shadow Shamans. That's all I'm gonna say. You can use your whole mana pool on the shackle, but it's gonna look cool. That's all that matters.
But here's the other thing: is why not just fucking make Keen Optic a tier 2 item and then add that nerf? Like, why do they have to create an entire fucking new item for Keen Optic?
Because it looks cool.
It's stupid.
I think it's substantial on Save Heroes. I think that's super big for Save Heroes are gonna want that.
Yeah, but still, why not have Keen Optic with a fucking nerf? Why do they have to make a whole new item?
Because it's a fucking item.
Because they gotta give the artists at Valve something to do, for God's sake. Lord, no, they don't make good sense.
Vizier, man.
Alright,
fucking Mua. Specialist Array, another new item.
Busted.
Fucking
busted.
Crack, dude.
Busted.
Oh, God. 8 all stats, holy shit. 10 attack damage, more holy shit. And it fucking fires at 2 additional targets in range. Alright, think about this shit, okay? Weavers, fucking even snipers, fucking
TA, Morphlings,
Morphling, fucking Viper, like, dude.
Even Luna's, right?
Jesus, Gyro. Oh, Luna, fuck. Yeah, that item is going to be something that is going to be addressed. Like,
there's going to be a B patch here real quick where that gets a hammer. I'm telling you.
Dagger of Restore, plus 10 attack speed, consume 100 health, temporary gain 40 attack damage, last 8 seconds. If I'm playing fucking Ursa or Huskar,
Huskars love this item with so much passion.
Oh my god. Essence Ring gone, rip. I love that item since the fucking
Fey Grenade, the free Lincoln's Breaker, miss it, bye, love you.
Quicksilver.
Had some really weird interactions with that. Oh, the best item in Dota, dude.
Ogre Steel.
Let's go, dude. Oh, dude.
12 strength, active ogre seal flat forward like an ogre. I'm not even gonna read this. If you played a fucking arcade game, you fucking know what this item is, and it is so fucking fun. I was playing Doom the other day, dead to fucking rights, had the Ogre Seal totem. Fucking Ogre Seal out, blink out, fucking halfway across the map, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
That fucking item is awesome. Got a fucking kill with it. The only thing I miss is in the arcades, it fucking stunned. I wish it did that, but hey. It was also the interaction of this was literally the first time I ever heard Maya say a cuss word. So that was really fucking cool.
Really?
Yeah, we were playing like Siltbreaker or something, and we always called the seals dipshits. And he would always say blubbers, and then he got pissed off because, well, the seals literally did the ogre seal totem and would stun you and do a lot of damage. And he got pissed off and goes, "Damn, he's like, those dipshits." I was like, "What?"
Whoa.
All right. Most significant, so like Paladin Sword got the lifesteal effect, and then like here's the big one. Rip spider legs, dog.
Ah.
Rip for Spirit Breaker, dog. Rip. That was
rip for vipers and fucking like snipers.
Anyone who needed an escape. It was great on Spirit Breaker. You gotta admit, you hit W when you tackle somebody, and then you're just spider legging the fuck away, and no one can touch you. Yeah, Rip Leveler.
Fucking Havoc Hammer is back though. The get off me.
I like it. I think it's gonna be a fun item.
I like it.
We talked about Ex Machina, and then Mirror Shield has gone from 8 to 12, which probably need to happen.
God.
Yeah, I think so.
Remember when Quap had her spell block talent? They got rid of it. And she had this. You couldn't target that fucking.
Oh, you don't forget when they would also build Lincolns.
It had Lincoln's Mirror Shield and the spell block. There was no spells you could cast on the hero, and one of them reflected, and you didn't know what one it was on.
But we got
that was.
We're on to hero changes now, yeah. So let's talk about this shit.
Centaur.
We are not going all the way through this list.
Fuck no.
Right now. But first off, like for any of you listening, we're not going to go through each one. We were just talking about the new items and the ones removed before, but we are going to talk about the ones that we feel like are absolutely busted. And the first thing that comes to my mind is fucking Undying. Holy shit. This fucking hero. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have had the absolute displeasure of laning against it yet.
Oh, it sucks.
You can't. That's it. You just can't. Like, the fact, if you haven't heard yet, Decay debuff buff no longer modifies your health when expiring. So that means if I fucking throw a Q on somebody and hit them once and maybe pop them like with another Q after, it's like doing 200 damage at level 1. Like, and you don't regen that back. And Undying's gaining that health. So you can beat the piss out of them. But whenever that decay expires, you're essentially going back to a full health pool. Like, so one of the strongest lane dominating heroes is now that much stronger. Like, there's not enough fucking healing in the world that can save you from the amount of decay. You just need some kind of aggressive laner with it. Or hell, like, you could play it as a fucking 3 now. It is ridiculous how fucking strong that shit is.
I completely agree. I mean, it's seen a massive uptick in play. Like, its win rate is ridiculously high. Its win rate right now in the last week has been,
it farms.
What is it, 54% on the
hero farms.
Yeah, it farms now. So that's a core.
That was the biggest thing, is like you couldn't take camps. You only had, like, you could only fucking right click like range creeps. No, that motherfucker decay gets maxed, like, you max it out and it fucking one hits range creeps. Like, what the fuck? Like, Undying's biggest issue ever was it couldn't farm. Now it can. Now it's busted. Oh man, it's free MMR. It is absolutely free.
I agree.
MMR. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
What do you got to say to that, fucking Jimmo?
Fuck that hero, dude.
Oh,
I don't know who thought that was gonna be a good idea, but that hero is.
I want to.
That's gonna be on the.
Yeah, I want Centaur talked about, because I need to voice something about this, and I love it. We've all seen
What could you possibly want to say about Centaur?
Well,
that's new?
he's got this real cool increase to his what is it, to his return damage, and this real nice kind of rescaling with Stampede that I think is effective. And then
Did you just say increase?
sorry, decrease, my
vitality?
bad. Dude,
Decrease.
they reworked his whole like kind of thing, which is now instead of having any kind of armor, they took his base regen from 0.25 to 4, which is actually more significant. I think people are giving credit for. Like this man is a regen machine. And then they added a scepter. You know, it's kind of
What's
kind of cool.
Should we skip over the
no,
scepter?
God, no. It's Hitch a Ride, and it's we've all seen we've all seen the clips
We're
on
in the
Reddit.
hood
Oh
now,
my god.
boys.
So I also want to point out really quickly, and I have to talk about this. When they said in the patch notes, which I have in front of me, it says non-targeted effects, so things that are AoE basically, or something along those lines, can still affect the Hitched Ride ally. Doesn't mean that they do. What I mean by that is that they're super selective about it. Some AoE stuns still affect. Chronosphere does not. Which I think everyone was floored by that, right? Of these clips of morphlings in a cart being dragged by Centaur inside of Chrono, hitting the void.
Yep.
That checks
It doesn't check out at all.
Yeah.
No, that checks out.
I was floored by it. I was floored watching it in a pub, and I was just like, this feels not intended. And I'm honestly like, it's time to play. Is it a bug or is it a feature? And I'm not sure which.
Well, yeah.
Let's talk about
dropping black holes.
the drive-by black holes.
Drive-by black holes, CM Ags
The
rushes.
fucking
Yeah,
CM.
dude. No, those are my favorite. Those are the best things I've ever seen. Oh, dude, this is it's a meme, but it's a meme that works.
The animation is the greatest thing too. Like he just fucking randomly just gets this fucking cart, and you're just dragging along. Oh, I lost it the first time I saw it. The Centaur was bringing around a techies that was just dominating us.
I saw a mid clockwork that had his scepter, and then the Centaur would throw him in the wagon, and he'd push that battery assault stunts everybody thing, and they just run around and fight people. It was the craziest thing. There's a clockwork Centaur just running, and you just can't do anything.
I love it.
You just can't do anything.
I mean, it's the same thing, right? Like, what do you do when there's a Dusa in the back and you're just trying to swing at her and she's just allowed to sit there and click? It's going to be this massive save mechanic that, like, you can bait people into a fight really bigly and then just, like, save your core like a Dusa.
Really
bigly. In a really significant fashion. And then it's real simple. Like, you know, then a Dusa gets to sit there and click people that just try to go on her for, like, the third time. I think it's going to be... It's memey for now. I think we'll see some significance of it, but I feel like it's
there's gonna be legitimate things for it, and it's going to be interesting. I want to jump.
Go ahead. Oh no, Doom's deserving of his own. Oh my god, Doom is deserving of his own.
Like
yeah.
Doom, the fact that and I've had a lot of talks with Naya. If anyone doesn't know Naya, he's one of those guys who is he voices his opinion about busted shit. And he feels very strong about it, and he fucking hates Doom. The fact that with Scepter you can Doom yourself and literally Doom everybody in an AoE is the most ridiculous shit. Like, how did you beat Doom before? Well, you had Lotus, you had Lincolns, things like that.
Just ran away, yeah.
Now, fucking Doom just puts it on himself, and he gets everybody. Everyone is fucking.
Oh, for sure.
Like. Good.
You get a Doom. I was getting black holed, and I'd precast Doom on myself, and I just get pulled into the middle. And
then this is like this cannot be skipped over, and I don't think we were, but still
Pierce's BKB.
What's up?
I was about to say Anna Pierce's BKB.
Devour is not dispelled on death, so this hero is guaranteed making gold, like guaranteed. He is a gold machine, and will continue to be.
What it feels good. Oh, what it feels good for Doom players. This hero is going.
Yeah, it's more than it feels good, man. It's a feels busted.
His level 25 talent, Doom applies break, is also super big.
Oh god. I mean, how many places can you put Doom now? I feel like you can play Doom in 5 positions.
Honestly, yeah.
I've
and it's guaranteed to make money and be impactful. I really do believe it's going to be one of the star heroes, and I think he's going to be somebody. If there's a hero that's going to get hit with with the hammer and the B patch, it would either be Doom or Undying. It's one of those two. I think those two are the ones that we're going to see like have an absolute ridiculously uptick in.
Let's jump up to Beastmaster here.
Yeah, it's interesting.
The wild axes, the cast point was reduced, kind of a quality of life deal. The slows was decreased. The hawks now has a like
Auto cast for that shard.
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of it feels like the way that they use Visage, where it's like quality of life for people who aren't very good at microing. You know what I mean? The attack speed decreased, but here is where Beastmaster gets crazy. He now his scepter gives him drums of Slom, which is for sake of reading everything, epicenter with healing.
Yeah, I'd say that.
It literally is. It is literally epicenter that heals. Ridiculous. I think. Honestly, like,
isn't his full combo like 2,500 damage? Like, he like shouts you, axes you, does the full drums, and did like 2,500 damage to you, and you just die.
But not to mention you throw up a fucking Hulk or a hawk that's gonna dive bomb.
Yeah.
Like, so you're stunned like extra long. So yeah,
and it auto dive bombs, right? Like it's now automatically going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
reach for 2.5.
It's ridiculous
instead of stunning.
And then
so. Yeah.
And then I feel like we have to, like, I do want to jump to Brew. Like, we can talk about the ones who got kind of the shaft. And, I mean, Brew's entire strategy of the way he played. Now, maybe he's not the shaft. We've talked about this, Greco, a little bit between the two of us because we're both Brew players.
I have different...
No, so do I. So do I. I think that it moves him away from... So, first off, let's say, so the Scepter's gone. Scepter is gone from what it was. They've replaced it. It now is Primal Companion, which the long story short of it is that instead of having two alts now for the Scepter, you now have a constant single bear that's with you when you're out of alt. When you alt, it goes back to being the normal bear and like everything else. And there's a bunch of things with it, like the cooldowns are doubled. So some significance, but that's the Ags. And that is, if anybody hears that, it's not, coming from people, it's not nearly as good as having two ultimates where you can just go to any one of the Brewlings. It's not.
No, it's not. That's the biggest thing that I see is the fact that now you always return to the Earth
one
now. Like, I granted, like, depending if they're stat, it'll go to the others. But like, instead of now just going to Earth Panda, you are, or rather you can pick, now you're always Earth Panda, which makes your escape a lot worse. However, this also makes Link Dagger on Brute better. And from what I've been seeing, watching some pros and stuff, and I think it works better in the meta because we're going away from the tricore meta from what I'm noticing, and we're more into the beefy blink initiator type
or protect one team fight.
Yeah, and what we're getting is now Brewmaster's an order builder again. So you're seeing the drums, you're seeing the Vlads, you get Blink, Shard. I think it feels much better now, just indirectly. And like Primal Companion is like a late game item that maybe like 5th, 6th item, unless like you're playing against, say, a Naga side.
It's interesting having the Earth Bear for pushing high grounds. Right, like a permanent Earth Bear that is spell immune, and if you're at level 20 has like 4k HP, is pretty interesting to see people try to deal with. And I've had that experience. Like it's an interesting kind of aspect of like, hey, try to stop my bear from taking your tier 3. Like, and I have Boots of Bearing, so it hits real fast.
Right, and I think it made Brew mesh better with the meta. It does feel bad, like, not having 4 splits. You just don't play around the alt the same way. He still pisses damage in the early game. Still, like, as soon as you hit 6, you dominate the map. Like, it's just a different style that I think people are going to have to...
I'd like to point this out as well, because this is a stat that made me sad to see. So, Brewmaster was played in... it was, pro meta versus pub meta. Brewmaster was broken in pubs for the sheer fact that you had all these ultimates, you could take towers by yourself, yada, yada, yada. I was being picked pretty regularly. He is now this week has been the lowest picked hero he's the fourth lowest picked hero this week at 1.74% of games.
Well, yeah, fucking you don't.
Chen is 1.71.
It's a hero that people.
Come on.
Oh yeah. Well, Chen's
Yeah.
always low. How many people can?
Fair. I mean, surprisingly enough, this week it's this week the lowest, by the way, lowest this week overall. Elder Titan.
Feels bad. I was really wanting a buff to him.
It would have been exciting. So let's move on next hero though. I think we spend enough time on bro.
I do want to quickly touch on Bounty Hunter since
Go ahead.
right next to Brewmaster. The support Bounty Hunter grabbing the shard and just making like your Slark go invis. Holy fuck, is that infuriating?
Yeah.
Holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
The enemy Sven just casually just goes invis at like 15 minutes when he has like Dragonlance. It's actually pretty interesting.
Another one, PA. So you'll probably appreciate. Well, you don't like PA. But PA now life steals off for W. I think a little bit better. I think with that and the games going a bit later, I think it brings PA more
of a Battle Fury patch. Yeah.
And I think it brings PA like back into the meta. So it grants 10, 15, 20, 25% lifesteal for its duration. I don't know how that affects creeps. It doesn't say it's half effect on the creeps. So I'm not 100% sure.
No, it should just be an ability lifesteal sort of.
Right. So it makes her jungling much better. So I do like that.
Absolutely.
Plus PA Undying.
Yep. Speaking of combinations with that, and this is one that I ran into that I found is real asinine. I want to translate to that. Is that it's a really significant lane combo that I feel people will see in their pubs a lot now is PA and CM actually, or really CM plus anyone who likes to spam spells. CM got a pretty nice little buff for the laning phase, which is basically that. What is it now? Allies that are within 1200 radius of CM gain double the effect of the mana regen of Crystal Maiden. So in level 2, Crystal Maiden has some kind of spam spell. She personally will have 2 mana regen a second and will be giving a casual 1 mana regen a second to her lane partner.
Fun fact, still not enough to make Doom not super dependent on the mana. I played that with the Doom, and I was just screaming for the CM, like, just hang out with me.
But I mean, you're also talking in late game, like, so now she has they increased their self bonus factor but to 4 instead of 3. So now at late game, she has 8 regen of mana herself, and anybody who's near her, which is really significant. Like, this is where, like, mana dependent carries are being like very significant. Everyone in the area around her is going to have a mana regen of of 4, like just casually, which I think is a lot to certain heroes, right? Especially if you have like a Vlad's as well. Like now it's a casual, like you never have to go back to base because you got like 6 mana regen a second just hanging out.
2 heroes that I actually really want to point out: Luna and Lycan. Holy fuck, are their passive busted,
dude? I was reading about this on Reddit.
Luna, you hit 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, it becomes nighttime. Luna's literally giving everyone on her team 20 bonus damage, regardless of where you are. Lycan just spams Howl, and the enemies have no damage. It's
that I feel is the Lycan one is gonna get hit. I think the Lycan one is gonna get
that one has to get hit, dude. You know how miserable it is trying to jungle, and you're constantly getting howled on.
Does it only affect heroes, or is it also creeps?
No, it's.
I feel that it's probably gonna get. Here's a nerf I'm predicting. It's gonna be that you have to be in vision. That's what I think the nerf is going to be.
Well, here's the biggest thing, right? Like, it's global, but like, which means everything gets 7 armor reduction.
I feel so bad. Like supports are hitting a camp or something like that. They suddenly have 0 armor and are like,
Well, like in split pushing and you're fighting elsewhere, and then all of a sudden the fucking, like, the towers get the armor reduction, yard or the everything gets shoved. But
The
like
towers do not. The
your
towers
team is
don't get
also
affected by that, do
still
they? Are
well,
you
yeah,
serious?
should, right? I think so.
I'll have to look into that.
I could be wrong. Not a
Neither
Lycan
am I.
player, but still, regardless, you're pushing, right? Like on one end, your team's fighting on the other end. You get to push with the benefit of Howl, while they get to fight with the benefit
Yeah.
of on the opposite side.
60% damage reduction to fight and 7 armor is enough of a contribution from across the map. If you can't win with that kind of no, absolutely.
Yep. Yep. But the lunar blessing now being global as well at nighttime, like in 5 minutes you just get an extra like fucking 20 damage. Like that's nuts.
No, it is absolutely like you increase your team's damage by 80 by just existing.
So is there a lineup where you just have
Crazy.
Luna, Nightstalker, and Lycan just in a game together? And you just
Fuck them all.
You would win. You would win.
You just win.
Just win.
You just straight up
You
win.
Because Lord knows that has such synergy, all of that has such synergy with Nightstalker for obvious reasons. So that's just terrifying.
Right.
That might be the triple combo.
Yeah, but
Right.
like Lycan doesn't even have to be a core
Yeah.
right now, dude. That Howl is so strong, it can be a support.
Let's make it a 4, man. The cripple now stacks with each proc.
Jesus.
Like, yeah.
All right, Lycan's going to be seeing a massive uptick, which is surprising because Lycan this week is at the 3rd lowest played overall. I think people will figure out how broken it is, and then it's just going to get spam picked.
Well, yeah.
Oh, change I thought was significant. So there is one change to Chaos Knight that I thought was worth mentioning, and this is level 15 talent. Now, they took away the 12 strength, but they replaced it with 75% reduction in the damage that illusions take. So instead of taking 200%, they now only take 125. Is it that significant?
Yeah, it makes
Maybe not.
I
Still
think
doesn't make him
Doesn't make him pause 3. Is it that significant?
Please stop
I'm
picking him,
not.
guys. Please.
I think
My
so.
pause threes are greasing me.
Especially in I think it just makes CK tankier.
I think your illusions are no longer this real quick burst situation. I think now I mean, in full honesty, you can get run down by one of these if you have the level 15 talent. Like it becomes really asinine to deal with these things as like a support.
Make shard
Yep.
stronger too.
I think that, if you're trying to deal with getting chased down by these things as a support, like the things you could do is either run away from it and stun it, yada yada yada. Now, all these AoE spells are gonna have less of an effect on it. Like it's gonna make it so that your ultimate isn't just this thing that goes pop and then you lose. It'll be significant. I think it will. I think we'll see that hero played a little bit more.
Think about it in this sense too. So being a Brewmaster player. So the Storm Panda is a base damage to illusions. It's not a complete clear. Like a lion hex or something like that.
Well, no,
right?
because he has strong illusions as well. You have to remember.
Right. So, well, yeah, and then it's CK was unplayable into a Brewmaster for the sense that you just instantly clear them all because they take 200% more damage. You're essentially doing
2K.
Fucking 2K damage to the illusions. So they're either all dead or they're about to be dead through the entire duration of the game, right? And now they're tankier, so they're gonna survive easier and sooner.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like it hurts. It hurts those kind of heroes that are typically really, really good against illusion-based heroes. Last one that I want to touch on, and then I think we kind of wrap it up here, is Death Prophet. So Death Prophet was one of the heroes I thought just took a fucking massive and it's to be seen, right? I just haven't seen the hero since the patch, but doesn't deal max health as damage anymore in Spirit Siphon. It does damage increase from 10, 12, 14, 16 to 20, 40, 60, 80. So now it's just magic damage instead of doing max health. So where you would pick DP into those really tanky beef heroes like the Tinies, the Bristlebacks, things like that, it doesn't do nearly as much anymore. You get a pipe or a hood or even a BKB. You just can't do it. You know what I mean? It doesn't pure spell immunity. It just doesn't have the same effect. Now the cool thing is Exorcism now gives you that 20% movement speed. which makes up a little bit for the base movement speed decrease. But it feels like Spirit Siphon's harder to get now because she's naturally slower. Um, like the reason you played it was not necessarily just for Exorcism, but just for like Spirit Siphon was a big deal. But now it doesn't
Yeah.
Oh
work
yeah.
that way anymore.
I think it's going to mean it's no longer something that's just played in every position, right? Because of just hell, max health need. Um, I think it's still viable though, like you were saying. I think it'll still have a position in the meta. I just don't know where.
I think more against like the natural counter against like
Yeah.
spirits and those kind of things. Like it'll be used more for the
Yeah.
silence like sense. I don't know about it being a 3 anymore.
I agree.
Especially with the way that the patch is heading. And we kind of talked about it, but the patch feels very more geared. Like I think the biggest change is the offlane. Instead of the tricore meta, it feels like you're gonna have the blink initiators, more beefier tanks, to play in front of people. Not as much in regards to like the tricore vipers, razors, and
Yeah, I'm
things
with
like
it.
that. So I know how much you wanted DP to be a 3 for as long as possible because you're balling out on it, but I just don't think it's
Just not
viable
there anymore.
personally.
I got one that I have to mention because it's making me like if anything is gonna break me in Dota, it's this. They actually made a change to Morphin that I think is the worst decision possible, and I wish they would undo it. They added a shard. Well, they changed his shard. And now he's able to morph while disabled, and that's just gonna make me want to end everything. I hate that. I hate that so much. That hero did not need it.
Yeah. All right, so that was a talent
Yeah.
before, and I believe it was a
It's 20.
oh shit.
Oh, it's 25. It was 25.
25. 25. Yeah, it was 25 talent.
That's ridiculous to me. No.
But Morph was in a dumpster. And I think this gives Morph the ability to be played again. Um, it's bringing heroes that are shit back in the meta. You're gonna see Slarks more. Like Slark got a nice buff, plus with the meta shift and the heroes that are being played, like where now like Pounce doesn't do, or like it's just the essence shifts are just better. And those heroes are just gonna indirectly be like
Yeah.
brought back in. So like Pounce now applies 1, 2, 3 stacks of essence shift based on the level. So like it's like I said, it's those kind of heroes. They're non-existent in the meta. They need to be brought back, and this is their way back into the game. Which, if I'm Jamokin, I'm jumping for joy. Knowing Jamokin, he is a fucking massive Morphling player, a massive Slark player, and both those heroes like getting those buffs. I think, and with the type of offlaner again, um, I think just makes players like Jamokin much happier.
True.
But
That's fine.
with that, I think that's about time to wrap it up. What do you
I
think,
think
fellas?
that's most of the significant stuff. There's of course stuff that there's going to be stuff that we
Which is
didn't talk
fun.
about, and it's like changes that we're seeing now that we're like, oh, that's no big deal. That'll be a big deal, and maybe ones that aren't. But I'm just excited to see Dota get shaken up again. Shit was getting stale, and it's going to be fun.
Troll Warlord
Oh, yeah.
busted. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Just
Yeah,
busted.
there's tons that we didn't get touch on, but for sake of time, we're gonna shut it down. Really interested anyone who's listening, make a comment, just anything that you guys are seeing that's busted or you find interesting, and let's talk about it a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll take some of those things and talk about it at the start of the next podcast. But with that being said, thanks again for listening, and we appreciate all of you guys.
For sure.
Good night.
Later.
Bye.